All right, great. So we'll be going straight to what we have for today. We have just 2 hours to do justice to today's topic. So yesterday we talked on data science foundation. We introduced everyone here to what data science is, and I believe we all now have an understanding, or at least a good sense of data science generally. So you won't be confused, or you shouldn't be confused at this point. You shouldn't be lost on the particular on what exactly it is we are going to be doing throughout the course of this program. So for today, if you follow the curriculum, you realize that today is going to be on Python. Um, Yesterday, I introduced us to some of the skills and some of the tools we'll be using as a data scientist. And I mentioned Python. So it's something we are going to be dwelling on a lot throughout the course of this program. So today is going to be an introductory class to Python. And before we go straight to start with that, we are going to have to make some installations. And I sent some materials last week, this week that just passed, on how to install Anaconda. So it is very important that you all have Anaconda installed in your system, right? So because that is what we are going to be making use of throughout um, basically throughout the course of the program. Everything we need is there, right? So and some of us actually had challenge, or is currently having challenge downloading the Anaconda, right? So just try to share your challenge with your classmates, post it on the group chat. Someone might be able to help you with that. So I, as much as we can, on the tutor side, we'll try to answer your questions. We'll try to um, um, answer and try to like help you with your issues and challenges. But we can just do we can't do more than we can our capacity, right? So the ones that you can share with your teammates or your classmates, share with them, and I believe they will help you resolve those issues, right? So okay, let me be sure that everyone can hear me. So if you can hear me, let me like know in the group chat. Can you guys still hear me? All right, great. All right, great. So all right, moving on. The attendance will be taken. Don't worry so much about that. My assistant is here and is taking note of everybody in the class. So just make sure that you are in the class. And if you come on the class and come on the call and leave after a few minutes, that your name might not reflect in the attendance list. So it is those that are staying in the class and are going to stay from start to finish that would have their name included in the attendance list. So ensure that you are not just present, but you are present throughout the class, at least for a good no, amount of time. I know some of us might have some things that might take our time, but just try as much as possible to be in the class for a very good amount of time. All right. So although the recording will be available, I know we've not made available the recording for yesterday's class. Assuredly that will be available before Tuesday. So we are trying to do some edits so we can upload them to the YouTube channel. So we'll send the link as soon as that is done, and you would have access to the recording, so you can go through them and just take your time to like practice what has been done there. Right. So great. So I'm going to be sharing my screen now. I'm going to be sharing my screen. All right. So please respond in the group chat. Can you see my screen? Can you guys see my screen? No, no. Just type it in the group chat, please. And just to avoid um issues with the audio, just type the responses on the group chat. I'll definitely see it. All right, great. All right, thank you very much. So, okay, so we are going to be going through the installation process for Anaconda, right? So Anaconda is basically a software, an application for data scientists, right? So once you get to your browser, although I sent a video, I posted a video in the Google Classroom instructing or directing you on how to install the Anaconda software, right? But I'm going to just go through it in this particular session so everybody can be carried along. So right, you have your browser, you just have to type Anaconda, Anaconda download, right? So click on the first link you see there to take you to the website. So depending on your system, whether it's a Mac, Windows, or Linux system, you select the particular option. You select the option that is appropriate for your system. So I'm using a Windows system. So yeah, I'm going to have to select the Windows download button. Click on the Windows download button. As you can see here, the website has automatically detected my system's type. So just go straight, download, right? So it is going to start downloading immediately. You shouldn't have an issue with that. But for me, I've downloaded an account on my system, so I don't need to re-download it again. So I'll just cancel, right? So once you have that downloaded, it's going to take some time because the file is quite large. So the download is going to take some time. So once it's downloaded, you should be able to see it in your download downloaded files here, your file explorer, right? So as you can see, this is mine here. I downloaded it some time ago. So you can just come here and click on it, right? Either double click or single click, depending on the settings on your system. So to give you this installation page, then just follow the prompts. I agree, accept everything, and then click on select just me, and then click next. Then it's going to indicate or bring out a path or the directory where you want to install the. So don't make any changes. Just click next, right? So since I've downloaded mine already, it is giving me this prompt that I've downloaded the Anaconda and the particular directory is not empty, right? So for you that have not downloaded it, it is going to take you to a next dialog box where you would just click next and then install, proceed to install, and everything is going to install and it will be set up. So once the download, the installation is complete, you should have it present in your applications. So for Windows, you can just go to your app and then scroll down, or you can either just search it Anaconda. So it is going to bring the application for you, or you can go straight to the app drawer and go to all apps, and then scrolling down, you see it here, Anaconda 3, right? This is how it is going to be shown when you finish installing it. So you can pull down the folder. You can see it contains some application and some file here. So what you are going to open here is this Anaconda Navigator. This is where you are going to have access to everything you'll be doing, Anaconda Navigator. So once you've downloaded and you've installed Anaconda, you should have it like this on your system. So you proceed to open the Anaconda Navigator. Just open it. Okay. All right. So I believe by now most of us should have finished downloading the Anaconda software, except those that have issues, one issues or the others. Because some of you have come to me complaining about an error or something happened while downloading, or you couldn't download it. So for those people, it to be resolved after this class, and you just have to send me a DM again so I can walk you through it or figure out what the issue is, right? So I need everybody to have this particular system, because without this, you won't be able to follow up with what we are doing. The assignment will be given the class. You might not be able to do the assignment, right? Although there are other methods to install Python, but this Anaconda is the most efficient and simplest way to do it. So everybody in the class needs to have this Anaconda software. It is a prerequisite. It is very, very important. So ensure that you have downloaded this Anaconda. The reason why we uploaded the material before the class is so you can go through and do have all these things installed, right? So it will be easy for you to follow us while we are um going through the lecture or demonstrating what it is we'll be demonstrating. Because for today we're going to be writing some Python code. We'll be introducing you guys to Python. So it will be very, very important, or very it will be advisable that you follow through what we are doing. Although you can always go back to the recording and take your time to follow through if you can't follow through this class, right? But so the essence, the main thing is that you just make sure that you practice what is being done in the class, whether now in the class or later on, right? So yeah, that is it. So now once you have this Anaconda Navigator opened, you've downloaded Anaconda, you've installed it. This is what you should be seeing, yeah, in Windows and on your Mac, right? I'm not using a Mac, so I don't really know how the user interface would appear there, right? So if someone is asking, he downloaded these on a MacBook but does not have any idea of how to access it. Okay, I think we'll address that issue later. I'm not so familiar with the Mac, so someone familiar with a MacBook should please um help him with that. I believe most of us here, some of us here are very good with navigating computer, both MacBook and Windows. So just try to assist your fellow classmates with their issues, right? So now there's a particular package or a particular application we are going to be introducing in this class, and we are going to be working with it throughout the course of this program, which is Jupyter Notebook. So this is it here. In the class, I posted materials on Jupyter Notebook too. So I believe everyone has seen that. If not everyone, at least a good number of the class has seen it, right? So we are going to be working with Jupyter Notebook. So this Jupyter Notebook is basically the platform where we'll be writing our code, all our Python code, everything we're going to be doing is going to be on Jupyter Notebook, right? So downloading this Anaconda will give you access to Jupyter Notebook, right? So there are some packages that comes pre-installed with Anaconda, right? So Anaconda makes it very, very easy for us, because the alternate way of doing this is by downloading everything separately if you want to do them go that route. But Anaconda, once you download it, it gives you Python, it gives you Jupyter Notebook, it gives you VS Code, it gives you a lot of it just gives you the environment for doing data science basically, right? So you need to have this Anaconda Navigator. So once you've downloaded that, you can just open your Jupyter Notebook by launching it from the Anaconda Navigator. Just launch from here. So you wait for some seconds while it is loading. It should take you directly to a browser. The Jupyter Notebook is hosted on a browser. Right? It's not like a regular application that is on your system, like that you just open as an application on your system. This one is hosted on a browser, right? But the thing about it is that it does not need an internet connection. You don't need to be connected to the internet to use Jupyter Notebook, right? So once you open it from Anaconda, it takes you directly to this particular page, right? It takes you directly to this particular page on the browser. So this is how you. Okay, let me just run down the interface of Jupyter Notebook. Now, as you can see, this is what you would see initially when you open Jupyter Notebook. This is your user folders. You can see the Anaconda package here, your desktop, your documents, your downloads. This is basically everything that is on your system as a user, right? So do I need internet to install? Of course, yeah, you need an no. You need an internet to download the Anaconda software, but you don't need an internet to install it. Once you've downloaded it, you can install without an internet, right? So that is it for that. You don't need an internet to install Jupyter Notebook. So, but you have to download it. You need to download it with internet, with internet connection. Very, very necessary. So you get to this particular page on your browser. As you can see, this is Microsoft Edge. Jupyter Notebook is hosted on the browser, right? So you would come here. Now, to create a new file in Jupyter Notebook, you just have to come here, click on the new. You see several options: notebook, terminal, console, new file, and new folder. So what we're going to be creating is a notebook. So in the notebook is what we are going to be working with as data scientists, right? So I'm going to explain how to use the notebook and what exactly the notebook is. But this is basically how you create a new notebook. You would open the Jupyter Notebook from the Anaconda navigator, or you can go to your applications, go to all app, scroll down, go to Anaconda, and then open Jupyter Notebook from here. So you can just click on it to take you to the same place that we are currently, right? So when you come here, it takes forever to install. Exercise patience. Anaconda is actually a very big application, so it takes a while depending on your system specification. So if you have a very fast CPU, it would or SSD, depending on your system's architecture, it might be faster or it might be slower. So just exercise patience and let it do what it is doing, right? Don't interrupt the installation process. So the thing is, I'm not going to wait for anyone to install this Anaconda now because I dropped it since few days ago, and I believe everyone saw that message. So you should have at least gone through the video and try installing it, right? So, but for this class, I just want us to pay attention to what I'm saying. So now you've gotten to this page. So to create a new notebook, you just come here, and then what you'll be dealing with here is this notebook. You don't have any business with terminal, console, new file, or new folder. Although sometimes you might want to create new folder, but you won't really use them. What you'll be using here is just notebook, right? So you come here, create a new notebook. But you should know that anything you are creating here is going to be in this particular directory. If you've created, let's assume okay, what I would want everyone to do now is to create a different folder for Career X for this particular program. So you can come to your desktop and then create a new folder, right click, and then come to new, then folder, then name the folder Youth Thrive program or Youth Thrive data science program. So you should have a folder for this particular program. So that is a task that everyone should do. You should have a folder in your desktop or wherever it is you want to place it on your computer, but you should have a folder for you. This is where you are going to have all your materials, your assignments, so you can just be organized basically. So once you've created a folder and you've opened your Jupyter Notebook, as you can see, if you come to this place now, you see this is your desktop. If you open your desktop and then you scroll down, you see that the folder is there. It has is reflecting already. So you open the folder. Now this is where you'll be working, right? So when you open your Jupyter Notebook on your browser, navigate to that particular folder, this Youth Thrive Data Science program folder. You can name it what you want to name it, right? That depends on you. This is not a strict rule at this moment. I'm just giving you an example, but just make sure you have a folder for this particular data science program. Can you guys hear me? You said the
Yes, we
sound is
can
not
hear you.
clear. Is it just him or is it everyone?
Probably it's his network.
All right. All right, great. Um, am I too fast? Am I too fast with the explanation? I'm actually trying to do this because of time. We have a lot to cover today, and for the fact that the class is recorded, is it's actually okay. So you can always go back to um the particular portion of the class that you didn't understand well, right? So I am trying to work with time here. We have limited time. So so yeah, I'll be proceeding from here. So basically, we've created a folder for the youth tribe data science program. So now you come here and create a new notebook, then click on it. It will take you to a different tab in your browser. It automatically, yeah, I'm going to drop the recording after class. That is not an issue. It will take you to a new notebook and it will ask you this question. Select kernel for this particular notebook. Kernel is basically the programming language that will be used, right? So now we have Python 3. So once you install Anaconda would come with Python automatically. That is one of the good thing and advantage of having Anaconda, right? So Anaconda is going to come with all these pre-installed packages for you, so you don't need to do them yourself. All right. So I'm going to slow down for the sake of some persons so they can follow us. So right. So once you get here, you will then click select. It should reflect Python 3 here, right? So once you see this, you click select. So it will set up everything. So this is the notebook that you'll be working with. This is the interface. This is where you'll be writing your code, your Python code, right? So now, let me just go through what we are seeing here currently. So this is the notebook. This is we have the tabs, file, edit, view, run, kernel. You'll probably not be using it so often. So yeah, we have save. So it's just like your Word document. If you are done writing a lot of code and doing a lot of things, you can just save it. You can come here to file and then save notebook. You can save the notebook, right? So when I give assignments, some of your assignments will require you to submit this notebook as a file. Just the same way you can submit a Word document or Excel or whichever file it is, you can also submit this notebook as a file. So the assignment I'm going to be giving you for this particular session will require you to submit a file, a notebook file. And the extension for this notebook, Python notebook, is IPYNB. Let me just type it here. It's called so it's called IPYNB, right? So this is the extension .ipynb. So let's say your file name is file one, assignment one. It will have the extension of IPYNB. So this is the format for this notebook. This is how the file is going to be. Just the same way you have Google Docs as docs.docs, right? Google Docs. I've forgotten exactly how to spell, right? But you get the point. So you would have this particular file too as IPYNB file. So I'll be expecting you to submit an IPYNB file to for this particular session. The assignment to be dropped in the Google Classroom after the session. So the meaning of IPYNB basically is interactive Python notebook. Right, so that is the meaning. So it's an interactive Python notebook file. So basically, that is what we are going to be dealing with. So I want you to get familiar with this whole thing. Get familiar with it. The same way you can use your Word document, same way you use Excel. Make sure that you get familiarized with this particular notebook and this particular file. So this is what we are going to be using. Basically, you can see what I'm typing. Okay, I'll try to zoom in later. In the next in the subsequent ones. So so yeah, so that is it for how to launch your Jupyter notebook. I hope everybody got that. I think we are clear with that. So if you have any question, after the class, I'll give enough time for everybody to ask the question. All right. So now for today, we are going to be introducing Python. We are going to be introducing Python. So just give me a minute. Um, so this is the material that we're going to be using. This is a Jupyter notebook, as you can see. All these things I wrote there, I can write code in this Jupyter notebook. I can also write text in this Jupyter notebook, as you can see. So it's a kind of that's why they call it notebook. You can write your code there. You can write your text. You can just basically it just helps you document everything you are doing, right? So the functionality is vast. It's something you are going to be learning throughout the course of this program. So you try also. I'm going to send video materials to help you understand how to use this Jupyter notebook very well. So for today, we are going to be introducing Python. We are going to be introducing Python. So for those of us that don't have, for those of us that don't have, am I still fast? Please, I need feedback. Am I still fast? Let me know if I'll slow down. I want to ensure that everybody's following what I'm saying. Okay, okay, great. Okay, where do we type the file extension? You don't need to type the file extension. Once you save your file, the extension will be added, right? So the same way you save your Microsoft document file, you don't need to type any extension. The extension will be there. It's just for you to identify which kind of file it is whenever you see it. So whenever you see a file that is IPYNB, automatically you know that this is a Jupyter notebook file, right? You get. So thank you very much. It's used to identify file type, not you don't have any issues with you don't have any problem with that. So you shouldn't have any problem with that basically. That shouldn't be your concern. Your concern should just be how to use this particular Jupyter notebook. So now I don't know how many of us have heard of Python. So for today we are going to be introducing Python to everybody, both for those that have come across it and those that haven't heard about Python before. So we're going to be talking about Python, right? So what exactly is Python? Some I think the first time I heard the name Python, I was like, why would they name a programming language Python? That's actually very weird. But the naming of Python is actually very um it's actually complicated, right? So that shouldn't um worry you. It was someone that created it. There was a particular show that he watches, and they have a particular character that is named Python. So he just picked the name from there and named the programming language, right? So it has nothing to do with what the programming language does. So, but Python is a programming language, and it's not just a programming language; it's a general purpose, high level interpreted programming language. So, what we mean by general purpose now? So, just as you can see here, we refer to Python as a general purpose programming language because it can be used for several things. It has several applications. It's not just data science and data analytics. We are using Python for data science because Python is can also be used for it, right? So Python can also be used for web development, as you see here. So let me not just go to that yet. But just understand that Python is a general purpose programming language. You can use it to do several things basically. Like the it basically has no limitation in regards in terms of its usage. So and it's also known for its clear syntax, readability and versatility. So out of all programming languages, if you are familiar with other programming languages like JavaScript, C Sharp, C++, you would see that Python is a very simple and clearly written programming language. It's very good for beginners. It's very good for those that want to start um, with programming. You get, so it is constructed in a way that someone that have no idea of programming can just start, and it's not going to be so complicated. So that is basically how Python is. And I think it's actually created for that reason. So anybody can use it, right? Anybody can use it basically. So as you can see, it was created in 1991, and most is one of the most common programming language in the world right now. So if you've heard of people talking about programming language, you should have heard of Python too. Python, JavaScript, C++, and C Sharp. So it's just part of the most common and most popular programming language we have currently. So so all this you can just go on and read more about them. So as you can see, I dropped the link for the Python documentation. So if you, I'm going to drop this particular file notebook for you so you can go through the material. So this is the material for session 2. That is for today's class. So I will drop it in the Google Classroom after this class so you can go through it. So for the documentation, you can come here. So I pasted the link, and once you click on it, it will take you to Python website where everything is described, right? So basically, you can see beginner's guide here. So if you click on it, it will just take you through how to get started with Python. So if you have time, you can go through that. So let's go back to what we have. So now applications of Python. Um, so as I said before, Python has several applications from web development to data analysis and visualization to machine learning and artificial intelligence, scientific computing, software development, automation, cybersecurity. Even those in cybersecurity too would be using Python. So Python has vast application. It's applied to plenty fields. Like it's actually one of the most used programming languages, right? So as you can see, like JavaScript, now JavaScript is not a general purpose programming language. It is more specific to web development. There's another programming language I mentioned in the former class. That was yesterday. R programming language. R, that is for statistics. So that one is mostly used for statistical um, work for those that are doing statistics and a lot of advanced statistics. So it's a specialized programming language. Why Python is a general purpose. It is not created for a specific purpose, right? So just have that at the back of your mind. So basically, I don't need to go deep into the application. You can read more on that, but just know that we can use it for machine learning and artificial intelligence, and that's what we're going to be using Python for in the course of this program. So now we're going to go into Python programming proper. We've talked about Python, we've talked about the application. Now, how do we start with Python? As a beginner, how do I approach it? What is the first thing to learn? Like I want to write Python code. What is the first thing to know? What is the first thing to do? Right? So now, as Python is a programming language, it's a language. It's a language we speak to computers, right? So the same way we speak to other human beings, to communicate with another person, we need to use a medium. We need to use a language to convey what we want to say to that person, or the information we want to like relate to that person. We need to convey it through a language. Nobody reads mind, right? So they cannot know what you are thinking. You have to use a language to communicate with that person. So the same way we have human language, we have programming language, right? Programming language now has to do with us human beings communicating with the computers. So everything that has been done in terms of technology, it's as a result of communication with computer. We've used programming languages to tell the computer okay, I want you to do this. I want you to build this website. I want you to do so everything that you have, basically, all the interactions you've had with your phone, all the interactions you've had with your system, everything is basically everything can be basically boiled down to the communication human being had with a computer. So if you want to be able to communicate with a computer, you have to understand programming languages. So there are different situations, or there are different purposes for different programming languages, as I have said. So for Python now, you already know what you want to do with Python, right? You want to learn data science. So there are some things that you will do in data science that require you to communicate with the computer. So you need Python to do that. So to understand that language, there are some things you need to understand. Just the same way to understand English language, there are some things you need to understand. You need to understand English syntax. That's what we call syntax. Syntax is the structure of a language, the way the words are arranged, right? So you would notice that for English language, they have a specific structure, right? It's I don't need to explain that to you. You know how English language is written. You know how everything is organized, full stop, paragraph, comma, punctuation marks, and everything. Everything has a meaning. So that is the syntax. That is the way it is written. So if you don't follow the syntax of English language, the person that you are trying to communicate with won't understand what you are saying, right? So you can also see, for example, Arabic language. Now, Arabic language has a different syntax, right? Hope you guys can still hear me. I need feedback. Hope you guys can still hear me before I proceed. Please, on the group
Yeah.
chat, your response. Okay, great. All right. So the same way of other languages like Arabic, Chinese, right? Chinese language have their syntax. Python also have their syntax. You see that for you to sometimes people that write Arabic, they'll start from the back. So that is basically the syntax of Arabic. That is the way you would understand it. So there are rules governing how to communicate with this language. The same thing comes to Python. There are rules guiding how you write Python code, right? How to communicate in Python, how to write Python code. So there's what we call syntax. Syntax is the way a language is structured. I just want to get that clear so you understand what I'm trying to explain. Get so for you to be very good in Python, you need to understand the syntax. Okay, let me open a new tab because I would love to demonstrate as we are explaining. Okay, so now, first of all, for the syntax, there's something very unique to Python, and it is called indentation. It is called indentation. So indentation is if you are familiar with the English language, you should know what indentation is. Indentation is basically space, right? So it's just like pressing space in your keyboard. If you come here and you let's say you want to type something, you just say this is Python programming. Okay, can you guys see my screen now? Okay, this is Python programming language. So this is what indentation is. If you go to the next line and you press space, you've made an indent. Press on that space. This is what indentation is basically, and you continue from here. This is an indentation. So this space that is here now is what we call indentation, right? So this is a very unique structure or unique syntax to Python. So you need to understand this indentation in Python. I would explain that, but just keep that at the back of your mind. I just wanted to give you a visual explanation on that. So let me zoom out. So now indentation is a core aspect of Python syntax. It refers to use of white space. White space is basically space, tabs or spaces at the beginning of a line to define a block of code, right? See, as we are proceeding, so anything you don't understand, as I am saying, just don't bother yourself so much about it. You get, you would understand it as we are proceeding, as we are moving from one step to another. You would understand, you begin to understand everything holistically. You get, it's very okay for you not to get exactly what I'm saying at that particular time. But if you pay attention as we are proceeding, you begin to understand everything. You get, so it's just like that is how learning is basically. Just like you're in a plane now, um, you you're on the runway currently, and the plane started moving. So as the plane is moving, what you can see at that point is just the airport. You can see some part of the airport through the window, right? And the goal now is to let's say, and the goal is to understand how the entire city or that entire area is connected. But once you are just leaving the runway, you cannot see the entire city. You are just seeing just the airport. So as the plane is moving and as the plane takes off, you begin to see more and more of that particular area. And you begin to understand, oh, this is how the airport is connected to this place. As the plane is ascending, as the plane is going higher, you begin to see everything and it begin to make sense to you. So it's the same thing with learning. As we are moving, as we are progressing, you may not understand everything at once, but just be consistent with learning. Just be paying attention we as we progress and as we are ascending. You'll be seeing everything and it will be making sense to you. You get, so it is very very understandable if you want to ask questions at this point, but just understand this thing I just said to help you a lot. So now I've explained what an indentation is, right? So what is the purpose of indentation in Python? First of all, it improves readability. So remember when I was explaining Python and I was talking about how Python is different from other programming languages. I said that Python is a very easy language to read. Like it's like writing English language, but it's just with some small symbols and all those stuff that you see whenever you see programming language. But if you compare with other programming languages, it is actually easier to read. So this indentation, one of the purpose of indentation is to improve readability. So once you write a long Python code, you now see how it is arranged. Everything is arranged with indentation. So it will be easy for your brain to understand the organization and the pattern in that code. So it just helps improve readability. That is one of the purpose of indentation. Another purpose of indentation, and that is actually a very functional, this is a functional um, purpose. It helps in indicating block of code. So a block of code basically is a group of code that does a particular thing. You get. So as you can see, there's an example here now that I gave. This is a block of code. It does a particular thing. This is a very simple block of code, but this is a code in Python. Okay, let's come for example. Let's just give an example of a block of code. I come here. So just by the side in Jupyter Notebook, there are two things you can do there. Each of these rectangular boxes that you are seeing, it is called a cell. It is called a cell. CEL, cell, right? So the cell can either be a code cell. Let me just write this so you understand. It is called a cell. So it is called a cell, right? So the cell can either be um, a code cell or a markdown cell. So each of these rectangular boxes, they can either be a code cell. A code cell is a cell where you can write Python code, right? Someone said he's not saying. Please, can you confirm if that's true for everyone or it's just for him particularly? Can anyone see my screen? All right, please check your connection. Please check your connection. Be sure that you have a very strong connection before joining this meeting. All right, thank you. So you can refresh your connection, turn off your airplane mode and turn it back on. It should be able to help. So yeah, this is the cell. Each of these rectangular boxes that you see in Jupyter Notebook is a cell. You can write a code. If you can write a code, there's a code cell. If it is a markdown, markdown is basically a text. So don't get confused with all those um, terminologies. By the time we are progressing, we'll get used to a lot of terminology. So get familiar with these things, right? So I'll try to explain it. A markdown is basically a text, like writing a text. Basically, it is not a code. You just want to explain something in text format, right? So that's what markdown is, but it just comes with some styling. A markdown comes with some styles. You can style your text. You can bold your text. You can make it italicized. You can you can do a lot of things to the text. So it just comes with all these um styles, right? So now if you come here to a particular to create a cell, you can just come to this place and click and tap on it. It will automatically create a new cell for you, right? So to convert this cell to currently the cell is usually a code cell. What I mean by that is that if I come here and write print hello world, sorry I'm diverting. I just want to explain this thing particular Jupyter notebook to you so you won't be confused as I am using it for the explanation. So if I come here and type hello world, this is a Python code and this is a code cell. So if I execute it, it will print hello world for me here. So as as I indicated, this cell is a code cell here. So Jupyter Notebook interprets anything that is written inside the cell as a code, right? So if I come here and change it to Markdown, it is no longer a code. It will not be able to, um, it will not be executed. So if I come here and Control Enter, it will not execute. It is a text now. It is a text. So just understand that about Jupyter Notebook. Your cell can either be a code cell or a text cell. So that is what makes the notebook. Once you write code, you might want to explain what that code does. You might not start typing some things. Sometimes I'll give you assignments that will require you to write some things, not just code. So this will enable you to combine both code and text in a single notebook. So that's why they call it a notebook. So yeah, that is it for that. I hope that is clear enough. All right. So let's go back to what we're talking about. So indentation now is basically it basically helps to improve readability and it also helps in indicating block of code, right? So now I wanted to explain what a block of code is. Now, for example, this is a code in Python, print hello world. So this is a code in Python. This is just a one-line code in Python. So there is actually nothing else to do here. This has executed the code. But if I want to write lines of code that does the same thing, that is together, we use indentation to organize it. You don't need an internet access to Jupyter. If you were in the class when I started, I said all this. So that's why it's very important that you start the class when we start and you stay to the end so you don't miss on anything. But the recording is there, so you can always go through it. So now, if I come here and if I write def function, okay, let me not use this for now. Let's say if 2 is greater than print true. So now, as you can see, I wrote 2 lines of code here. This is an this is an if statement. Don't bother yourself on what this code does particularly. I just want just to give an example. So this is a code block compared to this print statement. This print statement is just 1 line and it executes the command, right? So, but this kind of statement will require you to write just more than 1 line of code. So there's some code you write in Python that require you to write more than multiple lines of code. So the way to organize those code is by using indentation. As you can see, there's a space between this print and this and the beginning of the line, right? That's Python doing the indentation for you. So if you come here and you press, let's erase this thing. If you write this statement and you press enter, Python will automatically know that you are not done with this particular code. So it will indent it for you and you can now write the rest of your code. So this is an example of what you'll be writing in Python. So basically, this is how Python organize your code. So you can just come here and write print pause. So this is how Python organizes your code for you by using indentations, right? So if you run this, you see that it prints false. But if you come here and remove the indentation, you start from the beginning, it will return an error. Indentation error expected to get. So this is the same thing for English language. If you do not follow the rules of English language when writing, the person trying to read what you're writing will not understand it. So this is what is happening now. Python is not understanding what you are writing because you are not following the rule. You are not following the rule of indenting your code. So that is a very important aspect of Python that you need to understand. So let's just move on. So now we have indentation, right? So that is basically a very unique feature of Python. I will send video materials for you to read further on that and practice too. Please, practice is very important. Everything we are doing here, make sure you practice them. Make sure you practice them. So let's move on. There is no time. So we have what we call variables and data type. Now this is a foundational concept in Python. Very, very foundational. We have variables and we have data types. So what is a variable? A variable is basically a container that is used to store data. It's a container that is used to store data. So for example, now you have several items with you, right? That you want to carry around. You get, but there are plenty. It's not something you can carry at once. So the variables now in this instance can be your bag. So you can carry all those items and put inside that bag, and that bag will contain all those items. So you can carry that bag to wherever you want to go, and anytime you need those items, you can just remove them from the bag. So this thing for variable. Variable is like container that carries data. So in Python we have different kinds of data type. So let's illustrate them. Okay. So now, as you can see here, to assign a value to a variable, you use the equal to operator. So this equal to operator is what we call assignment operator. Let me zoom in well. So this equal to operator here is an assignment operator. It is what is used to assign your data or your value to a variable. So variable names can be short. You can name your variable whatever it is you want to name them. It depends on whatever it is. There's no strict convention on naming variables. So as you can see here, we are naming a particular variable X and we are assigning 5 to that variable. Here we are creating a variable name and we are assigning Alice. I will explain what these values are, right, in a second. So we are naming these variables. There is no strict convention or rule. You can name it anything you want to name it. But one thing to note is that there must be no space while naming your variable. There must be no space. If there's a need to include a space, just use an underscore to represent a space. If you include a space in your variable, Python will return an error. So that is another syntax, another rule in Python that you need to know. So let's quickly just talk about data type and relate it to variable. So a data type basically, data type. Okay, Python has built-in data types, right? So we have data. Anything, you can have several data like numbers, age, name, sex, school, country, whatever it is. There are plenty data that you can have that represent a particular person or a fact. So in Python, this data they are grouped into different types. So you need to understand the different types of data in Python. So in Python now we have what we call integer. We have integer, which represent integer values. If you remember your mathematics, well, you know what integers are. They are basically numbers that are not decimal. They don't have decimal points. So the other one is float. Float are the data that have decimal, that are decimal. They are basically decimal numbers, right? So if you let's just so we can come here and create a variable. I can say um, number equal to and just say 43. So what I just did there is that I created a variable number. I carried this 43 and assigned it to this number. So wherever I type out this number, it will give me 43. So variable makes your code, it makes your code much more organized. So you don't need to retype something over and over again. Because there are sometimes that your data would be very, very long. Like you can have like once we are proceeding, you realize we have other data types. So, but for instance, now you have this particular number 43. You've assigned it to a variable with this assignment operator that is equal to. So anytime you come in that particular notebook and you write number, let's say you print number, you can see that it's giving you 43. Like it is going to carry this particular data wherever you bring it in that particular notebook. It's going to always give you that same number. So that is what a variable is. So you've assigned this particular number to this particular variable. So that is basically what a variable is. So for the data type now, this particular number is an integer. It's an integer data type. So we can have float number like 43.6. This is a float, is a decimal number. This is how decimal is stored in Python. It's stored as a float. So if we come here, we can also have a string name. If you want to write text, any text in Python, yeah, you have to use what we call quotation mark. Quotation mark. So you start with the quotation mark and you write the string. Let's say I want to write Python. So this is a string. So you guys are getting introduced to very, very new terminologies. So it might be difficult to understand everything at first, but just follow us here. So now this is an integer, this is a float, this is a string. A string is basically a text in Python. So anything that you want to write, words, like basically you want to write a sentence, you can use this string data type and enclose it in a quotation mark. Let's say I want to write welcome to Python programming class. You have to enclose it in quotes. Always, you have to enclose it in quotes. Let's say we assign this to a variable test, and we come here and we print test. The reason why this test is a variable. It is not a string. That's why you're not enclosing it in quotes. So you don't enclose variables in quotes. You just type it out as it is. It's only string text that you enclose in quotes. So once you print this text out, you see that it will give you the data that is stored in this variable. You get. So this is how variables work, and you basically use it throughout your programming experience and your programming journey, basically, both in data science and anything you are doing in Python. So it's very important to understand. So we have other types of variables. We have Boolean. A Boolean is either a true, is that true or false, right? It stores true or false data type or data. So whenever you see true or whenever you see false in Python, wherever you see true, wherever you see false, just know that they are Boolean. They are Boolean. We call it Boolean. Boolean. Just get used to these names that I'm mentioning now. So we have integer, we have float, we have string, we have Boolean. So Boolean is true or false. String is text. Float is decimal. Integer is just normal number. Get. So we also have lists. We have tuple, we have dictionary, we have sets. Let me explain those ones. So a list now is an ordered collection of items. So in list now we have multiple values enclosed in a square bracket. So that is how it is. That is how it is. It is written in Python. We have list. We have tuple. A tuple is also a collection of item that is enclosed in a normal parenthesis, that is a bracket, right? Although these different data types have their different characteristics and different attributes, which we are going to talk about later, not today, but I just want to introduce you to them. So we have a list. So to create a list, you can just come to your notebook and just use a square bracket. Once you type a square bracket, Python will, oh, this person wants to create a list. So you can write multiple things there and separate them with a comma. You can write multiple numbers, 24, 20, 56, 65. So a list just carries as plenty item as possible. It can actually contain different types of data. It can contain it can contain integers, it can contain decimals, it can contain string. Let's say I want to write Python. So if you just run it, you see that Python has registered this particular data as a list. So if we come here, we can assign this list to a variable. We can assign this list to a variable. We can just say my list, right? So everything that is here would be assigned to this my list. So if I run that, you see that nothing is printed out. So wherever I type my list, this particular list would be returned. So if I come here and say my print my list, as you can see, it will print out the values that has been stored in the variable. Okay, so now I'm trying to relate variables with data type. So this particular data type is useful in many cases. So just understand what a list is. It can contain several values, and not just several values. It can contain different values. It can contain an integer. It can contain float. It can contain string, right? So it can even contain Boolean. So as I said before, a Boolean is true, false. So if I come here and print, you see that it has printed everything out. So we have tuple. This is a list. Persons are composed of network. Is it general or is it just select few persons? Can you guys still hear me? Please indicate if you can still hear me, so I'll move on. All right, great. So now we've established what a list is. We have also have tuple, a tuple. Now these names are new to you. Just get familiar with it. The naming convention in Python is not something we are used to. So we've heard of Boolean. Most of us have not. We've not heard of Boolean before. We've heard of float, which most of us have not. But if you are familiar with mathematics, you probably heard of all these things, right? So we have what we call tuple. So a tuple is like a list. But the difference between a tuple and a list is that a tuple starts with a normal bracket, right? The parenthesis. So want to create a tuple, to create a list, you use a square bracket, but to create a tuple, you use a normal parenthesis, normal bracket, right? So you can now put anything you want to put in that tuple. Let's say you want to put the same thing that you put here. You can just copy that and paste, and close it. Okay, and paste, right? So this is a tuple. Now I'm going to show you how to know the kind of data we are working with. So if I come here and I type my tuple, it has assigned this particular tuple to this variable. I can name this thing anything, right? As I said before, I can name it anything. Like there is no convention to naming variables. I can name it anything. Don't mind Grammarly. I can name it anything I want to name it, but just make sure that there is no space. Just make sure that see that I put space now there, but it's giving me error. So this is syntax error. You are not obeying the rules. So instead of putting space, just represent it with an underscore, right? So I'll just continue with my tuple. So let me just talk about the other data types. We have dictionary and we have sets. So now we have what we call a dictionary in Python. Now this one, everybody knows what a dictionary is. But in Python it has a different meaning. A dictionary is basically a collection of key and value pair. So it's a collection of key value pairs. What do I mean by that? So as you all know, a list starts with square brackets, tuple starts with a parenthesis, normal bracket. A dictionary starts with a coily bracket. You can see a coily bracket. You know that coily bracket that has something shooting out. That is how a dictionary is initialized in Python. So now a dictionary is different from this tuple and list. You know, in tuple and list, you just write all these things, like just paste and write as many value as possible. In dictionary, it is different. It carries key value pairs. What do I mean by that? So, for example, you want to have something like this: a name is the key. Now, the value would be the person's name. Let's say Joy. Now, this is a key value pair. This is one value. Name is Joy. You press comma. This is the first element in the dictionary. This is what the key value. This name is the key. Joy is the value. So you can come again and write age and put this stuff, double colon. Yeah, double colon. So you can write 43, right? This is under key value pair. All right. So this is another key value pair. Age is the key here. 43 is the pair. Right. So we have the first one. Name is the key. Joy is the pair. So that is how dictionary stores data in a key value pair format. So we can have as many as possible. We can have country, where the country she's from. You have, let's say, Nigeria. And you can see what I'm doing here. I'm making sure that all this text I'm writing, I'm enclosing them in quotes, if I don't enclose them in quotes, Python would think I'm writing a variable, like I'm writing a variable, and it will give me an error that this thing is not defined. I'll give you an example now. So let's assume we just want to create these three keys: name, age, and country, right? So you close it with a curly bracket and you run it. You see, Python understood what you wanted to create here, and it gives you the output. So now, if I come here and I remove this quote from name, Python will assume that this is a variable. So if I run it, as you can see, name is already defined. Remember, I defined name here to be Python, right? So as I came here and I typed name, no, you remember what I said about variable is like a bag. Wherever you carry the bag to, the stuff that is inside will still remain inside. So I've brought that name here, the variable name, and what is inside this name is what? Python. So as I typed it here, Python just brought out what is inside that name and printed it out for me here, right? So yeah, that is just exactly what variable does and how it is useful in Python. So if I come here and I change this stuff to something I have not defined, a variable I have not defined yet, let me say new variable. As you can see, an error would come up, right? It will tell me name new variable is not defined. So Python is seeing this thing as a variable. As long as it is not enclosed in a quote, Python will see it as a variable. So for you to avoid this error, make sure that everything that is not a variable is inside quotes, right? And in Python, it can either be double quotes or single quotes. So if I put just one quote to surround it, it's still the same thing. If I put double quotes, it's still the same thing. Like Python would understand, right? So there are two ways to represent a string in Python. Remember, this is a string value. So this is a dictionary, basically. This is a dictionary. So does it matter if the was single string? No, it doesn't matter, right? That's what I just said now. So you can represent a string, value. You can represent a string value as either a double quote, Python, or a single quote, Python. There is no difference. It's the same, two ways to do the same thing. They can either be double or single quotes, right? So that's it for dictionary. Now let's move on because of time. So we have what we call sets. So now these different data type I'm telling you about, they have their purposes. The reason why they are created is because of the different purpose that they have, or their different applications. So as you are proceeding, you see that, oh, dictionary is useful in this particular scenario, list is useful in this particular scenario, a tuple is useful in this particular scenario. So just understand how they are written, their syntax, right? So for the last one, we call it sets. Now this set now, it actually has the same starting point with the dictionary. Remember I said the dictionary has a curly bracket, right? So a set too starts with a curly bracket. You start with a curly bracket too. But the difference between a set and a dictionary is that a set, a dictionary has what we call key value pairs as their elements. So everything inside this data type, that is the dictionary, inside the dictionary is called an element. The same thing for list. Every item inside this list, 2356, they are called elements, right? So in case I'm using the element, it shouldn't confuse you. In case I'm using the word element, it shouldn't confuse you. So a set, element in a set is not key value pairs. It is the same thing as tuple and lists, right? So if I copy the elements in a list, and I come to set, and I paste it, you see, Python understood what we did. This is not a dictionary, this is a set. It can be confusing. A dictionary has a curly brace has curly braces. Set 2 has curly braces. Right? But the difference between a set and a dictionary is that dictionary has the elements in the dictionary are key value pairs, key value pairs. But in set, it's just one element each, one value each. Right? So just understand that. So that is basically the summary of the data types we have in Python. I have listed integer. Let me just list them out here. So I want to convert this particular cell now to a markdown, not a code. So we have integer, we have floats, we have lists, we have boolean, we have string, we have lists, we have dictionary, we have tuple, and we have set. So you need to know these different data types: integers, float, boolean, string, list, dictionary, tuple, and set. They are very, very important. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, sorry for that. I needed to quickly attend to something. So, all right. So these are the different data types we have in Python. I've talked about integer, number without decimal, float, decimals, boolean, true or false. Just those two, nothing else. String, any text or anything that is enclosed in quotes, either single quote or double quotes. List, number of elements that are enclosed in a square bracket. Dictionary, key value pair elements enclosed in curly brackets. Tuple, elements that are enclosed in a normal bracket, that is a round parenthesis. Set, elements that are enclosed in a curly bracket. So understand the differences, because everything you'll be doing in Python will revolve around this data type. But what you'll be doing in Python is manipulating data, right? So these are the things you'll be working with basically. But as we move on, we'll introduce newer kind of data, especially when we come to NumPy and Pandas for data analysis. So, but these are the basic data types in Python. Understand this thing. Very, very important. All right. So we are going to subsequent classes. We are going to now understand the attributes, what these different data types can do, that functionality you get. So now that is it for variables and data type. I hope you understood that. So if you don't understand, don't worry. You can always go back to the video, and I'll also send materials that will help you understand these things, right? So don't worry. It's going to it's going to be fun, right? I know coding can be daunting, but we'll try to make it friendly as possible for everyone here. And I'm also going to introduce you to a book that we'll be referencing. I sent the material yesterday night, 2 Python books. So if you watch video and the video does not explain it well, you watch the recording does not explain it well, you don't understand well, you can go to the book to reference as a reference to read. So you have multiple ways to learn. So there's no way you would use all these different methods and you won't understand that particular concept, right? So we would ensure that every concept, everything that's been taught here is well understood. And also we'll give you assignments to validate or verify that you've understood what we've taught. So now we're going to quickly talk about, okay, let me quickly show you how you can know the data type you're working with. So now I have created some variables. Remember I created some variables initially. Yeah, I created number, float. So now let me just bring back a variable, my list. Remember this variable, I assigned list to it. So if I want to know the type of variable this list is, there's a function in Python. There's one function I've been using since that I've not explained what what it is, which is print. I've been using print since. So print basically is a function in Python. So anything in Python that you see that has opening and closing brackets, that has something like it in front and now has a opening bracket and a closing bracket, it is a function. A function is basically something that is designed to do a particular task. Is anything that is designed to do a particular task or carry a particular action in Python. So this print is a function. So if I say print my list, I'm basically telling Python that I want you to show me the output or the thing inside this list. So it will just print it out here and show it to me. So you'll be using print basically in all your code because most time you want to see what it is you are doing. Get so although in Jupyter Notebook it has been made easy for us that we don't need to include this print. You can just type my lists and it will automatically be printed because this is Jupyter Notebook. The way it is designed to be interactive, right? But the thing is that it is only the last variable in the cell that will be printed. If we have other variables here, let's say name, my tuple, um, well, I created one. Let me assign this set to a variable, my set and my dictionary. So if I come here and say my set, my dict. So you see that all these ones are up here that they were not printed. It was not shown to us here. It's just this last list that is shown. So that is just how this Jupyter Notebook was built. So it's the last thing that is written in that cell that will be displayed here. But if you want to see the rest of this variable, you can just add print name, print my tuple, print my set, print my dict. So if I run it, you'll see that it has printed everything out. Like everything is printed, right? So that is just the purpose of this print function. It prints that particular variable. It shows you the output so you can see it. If you don't use it, you don't see what you're working with. So I want to quickly show you how to know the kind of data type you're working with. So there's another function called type. We're still going to talk about functions, right? So function is a different concept, a very, very special concept in Python, which we're going to talk about in subsequent classes. But I just want to introduce you to a few of these functions that we'll be using. So there's what we call type function. And as I told you, function always have two brackets, opening and closing brackets. So, and it does a particular task. So this function basically tells you the data type of that variable. If I put name, this name is a variable I created. As you can see, it's telling me string, that this variable data type is string. If I put my list, are you seeing it? It is list. If I put my tuple, this is a tuple, right? So this basically is a way this is actually a way we can know the kind of data type we are working with by using this type. If you're not sure of the data type of a variable, you can just put that variable. You can just use this type function and put the variable inside the bracket, and it will tell you exactly the data type of that variable, right? So if you put it's not just variable, if you put even the data itself, 40.6, this is a float. 40.6 is a float. If you put 40, it's an int. Can you see it? If I put a string, if I put this is a string. Are you saying it? It's telling us that this is a string. So this is a way to know the types of or the data type of anything, either a variable or the data itself. So just have introduced two functions now: type variable and also print. Sorry, type function and also print function. Get right? So I know there is a lot of things that I've said. So just we're going to just try to slow down here. And this is almost, we are 1 hour 30 minutes into the class now, and we should give you guys enough time to ask questions. But let me just quickly go through this. So there's what we call type conversion, right? Okay, I'm going to explain this mutable and immutable data types. But before that, let me just introduce you to what we call type conversion. Type conversion basically in Python is a way of changing one data type to another. Basically, like converting string to converting integer to string, converting integer to float, converting float to integer. As you can see, it's integer to float, float to integer, string to integer, string to float, float to string, list to set. So you can literally interconvert. Maybe you created a particular data, maybe a list data type, but that is not what you wanted, and you wanted it to be a set. You can easily convert it. So there are different ways to convert that. So I'll just go through this one. So for integer to float, there are functions that we use in converting it. So there's what we call float function, right? So as I introduced before, functions are okay, let me just quickly. Okay, so we have functions that can do this conversion. So we have the float function, right? So what this float function does is that it takes in a data. Let's say, for instance, an integer like 45. 45 now is an integer, right? This float function converts this 45 to a float. So let me just come here and let me run it. So as you can see now, I ran this particular code and it's giving me 45.0, right? So the data we passed in was 45 with an integer. Now this float function will convert this 45 to a decimal. So basically it's going to just add 0 to it, to 45.0. So if you want to convert decimal float to integer, we'll use the integer function, int function. So we'll pass in the float value that I want to convert to integer. Let's say the float value we have is 23.7. We want to convert this value to integer, so we'll just run it and it will give us 23. So one thing you need to notice is that it doesn't approximate. It just removes the decimal and give you the whole number. You get? So this is float, this is integer. Float convert integer to float. This integer converts float to integer, right? So we have other functions. We have string to integer, right? So this integer or string can also be converted to a string. For example, if you have the string, but this is there's something you need to note in this conversion. Whenever you have something like, let's say, string number. Remember I said a string is anything that is encapsulated in quotation mark, either a single quote or a double quote. So you can have numbers, say, as long as they are covered in quotes, it is a string, right? So if you come here and you say type, you want to check the type of the variable type, and you say string num. So that is telling you it's a string. Although what we have here are numbers, right? So if you remove this, if you come here and you say number 2615672. So this number you can say is an int. So this is an integer. This is a string, right? Even though this is a number, but the fact that it is enclosed in quotes, Python automatically sees it as a string. So in situation where you want to convert, okay, in situations where you want to convert, in situation where you want to convert this particular string to integer, you can use that same integer function. So you can come here and say int and then pass in the variable string num. So if I pass it to num, so I can come here and say print type num. So as you can see, this is an integer. It has converted this particular string number to an integer. So this int function can be used to convert string. It can also be used to convert float to integer. So, but the string it can convert, right? So the string it can convert are the string that are numbers, as long as it's a number. So, for instance, if we come here and we say string text, you ask your questions very soon. So just so as you can see now, I wanted to convert this boy which is a string to integer. You know, this boy is a string, this number two is also a string. But I want to convert this boy to integer. So and I passed in the string variable boy into this integer function that can convert strings to integer. But Python gave me an error, right? Because this string does not have is a text. You get. So to convert a string to an integer, it has to be the string has to be a number. So now this actually would change the way you see a string. So a string is not just a text; it is something or anything that is encapsulated or covered with quotation mark, whether a single quote or a double quote, right? So um, so just understand that. I think let me zoom out a bit. So you can also convert a string to a float. I want you guys to do this one on your own. We don't have time. Try to convert a string to a float using the function float. Convert an integer to a string using okay. There's a string function too. String function converts any value to a string. So if you have 45, which is an integer, you can convert it to a string. So as you can see, it has been encapsulated in a single quote here. So Python converted this particular integer to a string. So just go through these functions that are here. We don't have all the time to go through them. So just go through them and just practice these examples. And if you have any question, you can always put them out in the group chat. So let's try to talk about mutable and immutable data type. So we'll round up here for today before we start taking questions. So mutable and immutable data types. Now, remember I've introduced to you different kinds of data types. I introduced integer, float, string, tuple, list, dictionary, and set. So immutable data type, they are the data types that cannot change once you've created them, right? You cannot change them. You cannot change the content of that particular data, right? But for mutable data type, once you've created that data type, you can always change the content. You can always change the elements in that particular data type. So what do I mean? If I come here and then just create a new cell. So for mutable data type, we have lists, we have dictionary, and we have a set. So if I create a list, let me go to the list that I created before, which is my lists. As you can see, this is here. So I can easily change the content in this list, right? So a way to change a content or an element in this list is by using what we call indexing. So in Python, every element in this list is indexed, right? As it is stored in the memory, each of these elements is given an index number. So indexing in Python usually starts from 0. So the first element in this list is 0, assigned an index of 0. So 23 is 0, 56 is 1, 65 is 2, so on and so on, depending on the number of elements you have. So if you come to this my list and you want to access a particular element, you can always use their index, right? So you would come here and just write out the variable name, and then you put a bracket, that's a square bracket, and then the index. Let's say you want to get this particular element, that is 23, which is at index 0. You can always say 0 and then close the bracket. So if you run it, you can see that it will give you 23. So you are slicing, taking a portion, you are calling a portion of the element inside that list now. So you are calling 0. If I change it to 1, it will give me 56. So basically, this is how to like reference a particular element or call out a particular element in a list. So now what I want to do was I was trying to change this element. Okay, we have let me print out the list. So this is the list, right? So I'm indexing 56, which is at index 1. So if I want to index false now, you would have to count from here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I put 8 here, it will bring false, right? But I can always start with from the back. If I want to start from the back, I'll use -1 to still give me false. If I use -2 to give me the next one, if I use -3. So basically adding minus with 10 partner, you should start from the back. So yeah, that is just it for the index. So if I want to change this particular first number, 23, I can just come here and write 0 and then assign the new number I want to change it to. Let's say I want to change 23 to programming, right? So now this is me changing this list. This is why this list is called mutable. I can just run this thing now and this list has changed, right? If I come here and I print my list, you'll see that it has changed that first value to programming. So that's what we mean by mutable. You can change the element or the content of that data type even after you've created it. So let's try for a non-immutable data type. One of the immutable data type here is a tuple. So let me call the tuple that we created before. So my tuple. So let me comment this. So this is my tuple. This was the tuple we created, right? You can see it has a normal bracket. So I want to try to change this first element, 23. That is at index 0, right? And I want to change it to programming the same way I changed the list. So if I run this particular code, Python will give me an error that you can't change this tuple data type. It is immutable, right? It is not something you can change. So once you've created it, it is final. You can't do anything to it. So that is basically just the difference between a mutable data type and an immutable data type. So this data type that I mentioned, yeah, int, float, string, tuple, you can't change them once you've created them. Why for mutable data type? Once you've created them, you can still change them. You get. So that is just it for mutable and immutable data type. Because of time, I won't really um complete the examples because we have so many other examples here: integer, float, string, and so forth. I just believe you've understood the idea between the mutable and the immutable data types. So basically, today we've touched on the introductory aspect of Python. I've discussed what Python is, the syntax, indentation, what indentation is, applications of Python, how Python is a general purpose programming language, the purpose of indentation, and variables. What variables are? The variables are like a container that holds data. We've talked about data types, the different data types we have: integer, float, string, boolean, list, tuple, set. Talked about mutable and immutable data types, and we also talked about converting from one data type to another, right? So we're not able to explain every example because of time. So I will send this material to you so you can practice on your own. You can copy out this code yourself, create a new file. You can come here, just create a new notebook and practice. Just practice, try out different things, right? So that is it for. So you can just create a new notebook and practice. So that is it for today. Because of time, we'll be stopping here so we can take questions. So there are still other things that we'll have to discuss for this introductory aspect, but we'll have to leave that till next week. I believe would use the 2 sessions for next week to complete this introductory aspect of Python. So there's an assignment attached to this particular material. So once you get this material, and you would see the assignment there. So for the assignment, how you would answer or submit this assignment is that you would create a new notebook. Create a new notebook. I believe you all know how to create a new notebook. So you see something like this. You select yes, don't tamper with anything there. So this is how you're going to do it. For each of the cell, the you change the cell to a markdown first, right? And copy. Okay, let's say this is the question for. This is the first question. You copy it and paste it here and write question 1. Question 1. So now, I didn't really teach you guys on Markdown, right, because of time. So, but for the purpose of this assignment, just include a hashtag, two hashtags to this particular question. And what it will basically do is basically going to make this particular thing a heading, right? So you will run and enter the cell. This is what you're going to see. So I want it to be very organized. So once you type in question 1, you now come here and create another cell. You change it from code. If it requires you to write a code, then you will leave the cell as a code and write your code there, right? But if it requires you to type in something, you just have to change it to a markdown and then answer the question. You come and you write answer with these 2 hashtags, and then come down here and write whatever it is that your answer is, right? And press enter. you press enter. So this is how it will be. Question one would have its question followed by its answer. You come here, click to add cell, change it to markdown, write question two. Then you copy out the question for question two. Let's get the question for question two. And you paste it. You To run this thing, it is control enter, control enter. So once you click or um use control enter, it is going to present it in this format. But if you want to edit it, you just double tap it. If you double tap it, you cannot edit what is inside this particular text. But once you do control enter, it's going to present it like this. Right? So you can't edit anything here. So this is just for presentation. But once you want to edit what is inside this cell, you just double tap it, right? So this is basically how you're going to answer your questions. And once you are done with answering all your questions for the assignment, just come here, file, save your notebook as, then change the name to your name, your full name. Let's say Emmanuel and name, and then save. Once you save it, you cannot have access to this particular file, and then you upload the assignment file on Google Classroom. You just submit it there. So this is what you are going to be submitting, this particular file. So let me just try to save it. So if I save this, this is what I'm going to get. So I've saved this particular. So if you go to your folder where you saved it, so you have to be sure of where the particular directory is. So I'm reloading it. So you go to desktop. So I'm trying to locate the get the location for the file that I saved. So just make sure that you are working inside that directory. So as you can see, this is the file I saved here, Emmanuel Annie, and it's under my user directory. So I can just go there. I can just go to my file explorer, go to this PC, go to users, go to my user, and then I'll scroll down and I'll see it here. As you can see, this is the file. So you can just copy this file and then upload it on Google Classroom and submit your assignment. So that is just how you submit the assignment that you'll be given this week. So two assignments will be given, one for yesterday's class and one for today's class. And the deadline for the assignment will be stated on the Google Classroom. So just make sure that you are keeping up with the notifications and the information that will be passed there, right? So we've come to the end of today's class. I really wished we had covered more, but we are already going, we're actually overshooting at this point. So I'll just quickly go through something before we ask questions. So I posted two PDF in the Google Classroom, on the Google Classroom. So these are going to be the books we'll be referencing throughout the course of this program. So one of them is Python Data Science Handbook. This is a very good resource for data science, right? And this one, the other one is the Python Handbook. So this one is basically for Python itself. All these things I taught you today is included here. So now you can see data type. If you click on it, you can see that they explained it. So you can just go here and read it. Try to understand, look at the examples they use, replicate it on your Jupyter notebook. Just try out things so that you'd understand them. You understand exactly what variables are, you understand what data types are, and how to work with several data types. So there are other information that you see here. So just look through this resource. Ensure that um, you are not just relying on the information that we are passing in the live sessions. You are going further to read books and also watch the videos, the video materials we're posting, right? So for this particular week, um, we have the task of reading this Python handbook from page 20. From page 20 to, this is not an assignment though. This is just for your own understanding, to help you understand what we did today. So from page 20 to page 42, just take your time, right? Take your time to go through it. So it is going to help you understand all these data types that I've explained in this particular class. So you stop at page 42. Yeah, page 42. From page 20, I dropped it in the Google Classroom, so you should see it there. The information for this particular book, the particular task is on the Google Classroom. So that's just it for that. These two books, when we come to using NumPy and Pandas, then I'm going to make mention and reference this particular book. So for now, we are not going to be using this book. So till we get to the data analysis proper or data science proper, then we can now start referencing this book. But just keep them. So when we get there, and I request that you reference this book, you won't um have issue with that. So yeah, we've come to the end of today's today's um today's lecture, and I'll be giving room for questions. So I won't be able to take as many questions as possible because of time, but we'll just take few questions. All right. So if you have a question, please indicate. You can unmute yourself and speak.
So I just want to add to what you said here. Okay, let me appreciate your class first. I really enjoyed it, but just that I'm having a difficulty downloading the Anaconda app on my system. So the thing is really giving me concern. Based on the class you handled today, I enjoyed it, but it's giving me concerns that I cannot um practice it on my system based on the difficulty I'm having to download the app itself. To install it, not to download. I've downloaded it just to install it. So it's giving me a very big concern. I don't know.
Okay. What are you using a Mac or a Windows?
Yeah, Windows
Thank
15
Okay.
HP.
So please, can you just screenshot the issue and send to my DM so I can help you sort it out. We can sort it out together.
Okay.
All right.
I'll do that right away.
All right. All right. Great. So any other question or complaint? You can unmute yourself and speak if you have any. Any other question? Okay. Taiwo, I've unmuted you so you can go on to speak.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. It was really very insightful session. So my question is just basically with regards to the assignment. Are we going to have the assignments in? Are we submitting together in like the same notebook in the Google Classroom, or we just have to do it separately? Since you said you will be combining. both yesterday's assignments and today's assignments. So I just want clarity there on that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, the assignment submission is going to be done individually. So the instruction to do that would be posted on the Google Classroom, right? So I believe most of us are not familiar with how to navigate the classroom. So the instruction, a video instruction or guide would be posted on the Google Classroom on how to submit your assignment. So um, just um, just look out for that in the classroom. So you would find instructions and guide on how to go about that. So I think that should answer the question. So any other question regarding what we did today? Okay, mute. Yeah, I'm unmuting everybody now. So David, please can you unmute those that have their hands up so they can speak?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for the tutorial so far. God bless you indeed. So I have
Yeah.
a question
All right.
regarding what was taught today.
Okay.
Is a point of concern for me though. With what we learned yesterday, life type of data and programming now, Python programming. I want to ask because everything looks strange to me, but I know I will learn. How do you apply all these things to a real life data science problem so that will bring out about a product or solution to a problem? How do you apply all this coding and everything that was taught today?
Yeah. That's a good question. So the thing is that there's a point we need to get to, right? So to get to that point, we need to start somewhere. So you want to be able to create machine learning models, to do data analysis with Python. But to do those things, you need to understand how Python works. You need to understand the basics. So that is the essence of taking you through this introductory course in Python or introductory. Please, can you mute your mic if you're not speaking? Thank you. So we are taking you through the basics so that when you get to that point of analyzing data, it will be an issue for you. So the aim of teaching you this so that you can use it to work with data later on as a data scientist. So these are the tools, these are the things you'll be using in the course of your profession as a data scientist, either in projects or in probably when you start working as a data scientist, you'll be using Python, and all these things we are teaching you is what you'll be using during this that's basically what you'll be using throughout your profession as a data scientist. So it's just a building block to where we want to get to. So I believe that has answered your question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So any other question before we
Yeah,
complete
good
the?
evening.
All right. Please go on.
Good evening.
Annabelle. Okay, Solomon, go on, please. Hello, Solomon.
Okay,
Can
thank you.
you ask
Um,
your question?
yes, can you hear me? Good evening.
Yeah.
Hello,
Yeah, I can hear you.
hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, thank you very much. Please, I really appreciate the lecture so far, although I was a kind of bit late. So I'm unable to actually install it's actually giving me concern. I don't know how to go about it, just like the way the first person asked. Understand? So I don't know how do I get the app to install in my
Have you
PC.
downloaded the app? Solomon? Have you downloaded the software application?
I can,
What
as
do
in,
you
I
say?
don't even know the process now because I came late.
Okay, have you seen
Can
the
you hear me?
materials? Yeah, I can hear you. Have you seen the materials I posted on the Google Classroom regarding installation of Anaconda and
Yes, sure, sure.
other things? Yeah, so that should be able to direct you on how to download the application, the software application. Have you gone through the video?
It's okay.
Have you
Yes,
gone
I've
through the
gone
video?
through it, but
Okay, so what's the
I've gone
challenge?
through the,
Hello,
the, the
Mr. Manuel.
material, but I've not watched.
Mr.
Please go
Manuel.
through the
So let
I
me
video.
work.
think if you go,
Let me work on this. Let me just work.
Please go through the video, and
All
if you
right,
have
thank you.
any issue or challenge after going through the video, then you can now refer back to me. But the instructions are there already on the Google Classroom, right? So I
Yeah.
can't attend to everybody. So just go through the video. The video installation for Anaconda for Windows is there. The video installation for Mac is also there. So depending on the system you are using, you have the resources there. So just go through the video and follow the steps. If you finally have
All right,
an
thank you.
issue that you cannot resolve on your own, then you can now come back and we'll figure that out together, right? So please, any other question?
All
Good
right.
evening, sir.
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir. Please, the
Okay,
question I want to ask.
Annabelle,
Uh,
please, can you go on to
the,
speak? You've been trying to speak
uh,
for a while now.
hello,
But today,
I'm
please,
actually
hello,
can you,
sir.
good evening, sir.
yeah, please,
Uh,
Annabelle, go on to speak.
All right, thank you very much for. Actually, I
Yeah,
thought Python was a big deal, but it has been for your explanation today. It was very easy. Thank you very much. So I just wanted to
I
let
didn't hear
you
what you
know that
said. Please,
I said,
can you speak up?
all right. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening,
Hello.
Annabelle. Yeah,
I
I
just
can hear
wanted to
you.
tell you yes for your class today. From inception
Okay.
to sound, but after listening to you today, it was interesting and insightful. So I just wanted to let you know that PDF you sent me, I don't know.
The PDF
It
is
might.
not opening.
Yes, I tried opening it. It's not opening.
Okay. Okay, I will
Yes.
try to see if there's a general problem and we'll resolve that. So, any other question? Please just drop this complaint in
yeah,
the group chat so I can go before you. So, Babatunde, please can you go on to speak?
okay.
Babatunde, please can you go on to speak? You were trying to say something initially. Are you there? All right. Adra Agbemi, please, you can speak.
Okay, when you were talking about the assignment, my network was on and off. So I wanted to know, because I missed most of when you were telling us the question. Are you going to upload it on or write it on Google Classroom so that we can know what the question is for those of us who
Yeah,
missed it?
yeah. The instruction, everything will be written there in detail. So don't bother about it. I'm just trying to guide you through how you submit or how you get the file for submission. But everything will be there. Like you would see you everything you need to do the assignment and submit will be posted on the Google Classroom. So just make sure that you are you keep eyes on the Google Classroom on the informations that will be posted there. So either today or tomorrow, you will get the assignment and the instructions that follows.
Okay, all right, that's helpful. Thank you.
All right, so we'll take the last question for today, and any
Good
other
evening,
question should be dropped in the group chat.
good evening, sir.
All
Actually,
right, David.
hello, sir. Hello, good evening.
Okay.
You've always been muted me. I don't know why you don't want me to ask questions in this class.
Ah, no, sir.
Sorry.
I was asking of you now. I was asking of you, so you can ask your question.
Muted
You
me
can go
again. I
ahead.
wanted to ask my question, but you muted me again.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
Sir,
I
Please go
was
ahead.
not. I was not the
all
one.
right. All right. The question I want to ask, sir, I have a question for yesterday and today. The question I want to ask is this, sir. When you were listing the analysis tool that we're going to be using, you didn't list among them Tableau and Power BI because anytime you ask somebody that you are learning data analysis, the first thing they ask you is, can you use Power BI? Can you use Power BI? So you didn't. Are we not going to be learning Power BI? That is one. Then for the class of today, I noticed that all the coding that we are doing and the printing, the running of the code is being done on the same page. Is there a way, or is it the way Python is arranged? Is there a way that the coding environment will be on one page and then there should be another page or a window where the printing, the results of what we are coding will be displayed or something like that for a better visualization? Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for those questions. So for your first question, why we didn't list Power BI and Tab, and I believe you understand the curriculum and the track that you are in. This is a data science track and not a data analytics track. I made sure to explain the differences yesterday. I don't know if you were in yesterday's class, but I highlighted the differences and listed out the skills and the things that you need to learn for each of these data profession, right? So for data science, we won't be doing anything relating to Power BI or Tableau. Everything we're going to be doing is would be in Python, right? But if you're
Okay.
going to be doing data analytics, then you would now have to learn Power BI, you learn Tableau, you learn SQL, and you learn all those other skills. So I actually explained this during yesterday's class, and if you are in the class, I believe you should have gotten that. I don't know, but this is a data science class, and what we'll be doing basically is in Python. Most of our work is going to be in Python, right? So, but for data analytics, then you can now start to look at all the other tools that you've mentioned, Power BI and the rest. So, for the purpose of this course and for the course of this program, would be working just with Python and other libraries in Python. And yeah, so we won't be doing Power BI and Tableau for this. So for your second question, you asked for that question actually. Um, um, I think yeah, it's a valid question, but this Jupyter notebook is a different kind of environment, right? It's an interactive environment. Unlike the normal programming that you do, I believe you probably have an experience with programming. That is why you asked this question. You've seen code and you've seen programs that have been written on a particular page and then compiled and the code is run and which will generate an output. So that is the conventional way of writing code, right? But this is different. This is a different kind of um, Python environment. It is called IPython, interactive Python. So as you're writing a code, it is giving you the output. As you're writing a code, it's giving you an output. You don't need to write everything you want to write, right? So it makes working easy for you. So you don't need to write everything and then run it and then see the output. And then you want to change something, you now go and change it again, you now run everything. So it will be more stressful, especially for data analysis work. So this interactive Python on Jupyter Notebook is a very efficient way of writing code in Python for data analysts and data scientists. So it is much better this way. It is much better, trust me. If you should go the other way, you are going to see that it is stressful and it's not even very effective. So yeah, that's it for. I don't know if you are
All
satisfied with
right.
this answer.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Hello, sir.
So that should be the last question for the class. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go on, ask your question. We'll round up with you.
Please, I have an issue here. After downloading or installing my Anaconda, I can't find it. I go
You
through the
can't find it.
window. Yes,
What system do you use? Mac or Windows?
Windows.
Yeah. So have you tried searching for it?
Yes, I go
Like
to,
the app drawer.
you know, the Windows sign that is at the left
Keyboard.
corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he brought up all the apps, starting
Yeah.
alphabetically. But I
Yeah.
can't see Anaconda. That is how the video on the YouTube directed. I can't
All right.
find
So
it.
can you send me a private message? Yeah. After this class, please send me a private message. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
All right. So let me just let one more person ask question before we close for the day. So any other question? Any other question?
They have questions. I think they have all gone.
All
They
right.
raised their hand and they all gone. I think we should, any question. Okay, I think James has a question. James, do you have your question? Can still go ahead and ask. James, Aka, or Juma. All right. I think whatever question they have next, you will post it in the classroom now. We can answer from there because we're already out of time by 12 minutes.
All right. So any other questions should be dropped in the group chat, and we'll do our best to respond to them. So thank you very much for your time, and have a wonderful week ahead. Yeah. Thank you.